Morning mist blanketed San Francisco's streets as Emily Carter rushed toward the renowned Crestwood Music Academy. Her plain navy sweater and simple skirt contrasted with the trendy students clogging the pavement, their instrument cases flashing elite conservatory emblems. At 29, Emily gripped her tattered journal packed with musical scores, her life's passion. She'd carved a quiet career crafting arrangements for local ensembles and theater groups. Though others performed her music, her name stayed unknown. That suited her fine. She dodged a cluster of chattering cellists, her focus unwavering. "Sorry," Emily whispered, weaving past animated flutists buzzing about today's event. A masterclass with Evelyn Sterling, the West Coast's fiercest critic. "Did you hear she called Ryan Holt's Lincoln Center recital polished but lifeless?" one student hissed. His bookings dried up fast. Emily's throat tightened. She'd read that brutal review. Evelyn Sterling didn't just judge music. Her words could shatter dreams. Emily quickened her pace, clutching her journal tighter. The Academy's grand doors loomed ahead. She wasn't here to perform, just to observe. That thought kept her steady. Inside, Emily approached the front desk. "I'm here for the composition performance seminar," she said. The clerk barely looked up. "Room 418, sign in." As Emily wrote her name, the woman glanced at her. "Student or faculty?" "Neither. I'm a composer," Emily replied, shifting uneasily. "My agent got me a spot to observe." The clerk's brow arched. "It's mostly for performers, but you're on the list." She slid over a visitor badge with a hint of doubt. Emily pocketed it, already dreading the attention. In the elevator, Emily mentally braced herself. Her agent had been blunt. "Your scores are brilliant, Emily, but they're missing something. Connection to performers. You write like you've never touched an instrument." She had, though. For 12 years she'd played the violin, her soul woven into every note. But stage fright had crushed her dreams. After a humiliating audition at Curtis, she'd boxed up her violin and turned to composing, letting others breathe life into her work. The elevator dinged. She wasn't ready for this. As the doors parted, a clear A string being tuned hit her ears. Her fingers flexed instinctively, betraying a past she'd buried. At 17, she'd been a prodigy, but performing for others brought panic that locked her joints. Now, she just needed to blend in. Room 418 was Crestwood's pride, a compact concert hall with tiered seats facing a polished stage. Emily slipped in through a side door, spotting empty seats in the back. Notebook in hand, she vowed to stay invisible, her heart pounding. The room hummed with nerves. About 50 students, mostly violinists, packed the front rows, their instruments gleaming. Faculty and local music figures filled the middle seats. Emily spotted the symphony's first violinist and the conservatory's chair among them. She sank lower, pen ready. At exactly 10 a.m., silence fell. Evelyn Sterling entered, her presence commanding. At 68, her sleek auburn bob and tailored black suit screamed authority. Gold earrings glinted as she surveyed the room, her gaze sharp enough to slice through confidence. "Good morning," Evelyn said, her voice like iced coffee, smooth but chilling. "I expect you've brought something worth my time." Students stiffened, some swallowing hard. "If you're unfamiliar with my approach," she continued, "I don't pamper talent. The music world chews up weakness. So will I." Her eyes scanned the crowd. "I'll pick a few to perform. If you can't handle honest feedback, leave now." No one budged. Emily scribbled notes, her pulse racing. She just had to stay unnoticed. Evelyn checked a list. "Let's start with someone ready. Mia Patel." A young woman in a sharp green dress stood, violin poised. She played a pristine excerpt from a Mendelssohn concerto. Polite claps followed. Evelyn tapped her pen. Accurate, controlled, and utterly bland. You're hiding from the music. Ms. Patel Mia's face fell. 2 more students performed, earning razor-sharp critiques. The air grew heavy. Emily wrote furiously, both unsettled and intrigued. Evelyn's words were harsh, but pinpointed flaws others might miss. Still, Emily stayed low. During a pause, Evelyn's gaze roamed, landing on the back. Emily froze, head down, but it was too late. "You there," Evelyn called, pointing. "In the navy sweater, I don't know you." Heads turned. Emily's cheeks burned. "I'm just observing," she said, voice faint. Evelyn's brow lifted. "Everyone contributes in my class. Come forward." Emily's stomach churned. This wasn't the plan. She was here to watch, not be seen. But Evelyn waited, and dozens of eyes pinned her in place. Emily gripped her journal, rooted to her seat. "I'm really just observing," she said, louder now. A few students smirked, sensing defiance. Evelyn's lips thinned. "In 35 years of teaching, I've never allowed bystanders, unless you think you've nothing to offer." Murmurs spread. Emily's pulse hammered. She stood slowly, notebook her only shield, and started down the aisle. Every step felt like wading through mud. "Your name?" Evelyn asked as Emily reached the front. "Emily Carter." "And you are?" "A composer," Emily said. "Arrangements, mostly." Evelyn's voice dripped with mock surprise. "A composer? Fascinating. Do you play anything, Miss Carter?" Emily hesitated. "I did, years ago." "Did?" Evelyn turned to the room. "We have a composer who did play. How does one write without knowing the instrument?" She gestured to a violin case on a table. "Perhaps you'll show us your past skills." A few students chuckled. Emily recognized the trap. Public shaming masked as education. She'd seen it in music's elite circles before. Her hands trembled. "I don't perform anymore," Emily said softly. "Of course not," Evelyn replied, her smile cold. "Yet you write for performers?" She opened the case, revealing a gleaming violin. "Humor us. Play something. Show what shapes your scores." Emily stared at the instrument. 7 years had passed since she'd touched a violin, 7 years of avoiding this moment, being forced to play under judging eyes. "A scale should be simple enough," Evelyn added, her tone patronizing. "Even novices manage that." The room felt suffocating. A student in the front row snickered. "Maybe she knows Mary had a little lamb," he muttered, loud enough for Emily to hear. Evelyn lifted the violin, offering it. "Consider this a chance to grow, Miss Carter. To write for an instrument, you must know its heart." Emily knew the game. Evelyn had pegged her as a fraud, a nobody who didn't belong. The critic wanted to make an example of her. With shaking hands, Emily took the violin. Its weight felt both familiar and alien. Evelyn pointed to a music stand. "Use that, unless you know something by heart." More laughs rippled through the students, assuming Emily couldn't possibly recall anything complex. Evelyn sat, pen poised, expecting a flop. "Whenever you're ready, Miss Carter, a scale, or whatever basic tune you remember." Emily lifted the violin to her chin, old habits kicking in despite years of distance. The room seemed to tilt. She could play a scale and slip away with minor embarrassment, or she could refuse entirely. Her bow hovered. Performing had once broken her. At Curtis, her audition had collapsed mid-note, her mind blank, the judge's frowns searing into her memory. She'd sworn off stages after that. Now the same fear clawed at her. Judging stares, the certainty a mistake would define her. She could sense Evelyn's smugness, the student's pity, but something else stirred. Her fingers tightened on the bow. She could play their game, meet their low expectations, or she could show them who she'd always been beneath the fear. Emily shut her eyes, blocking out the room, Evelyn's smirk, the whispers. In the quiet of her mind, she found her breath. A memory flickered, her old mentor's voice. Music isn't about flawless notes, Emily. It's about honesty. Play what's true. Truth. Not what Evelyn wanted, a stumbling amateur to mock. Not what the students expected, a timid failure. Emily's truth was deeper, locked away for years. Her fingers settled on the strings. She made her choice. The violin felt like an old friend. Time slowed as Emily stood on the stage, the violin against her shoulder. Memories flooded back, late nights practicing, recitals that thrilled her, the terror that silenced her. At Curtis, panic had choked her, her bow frozen mid-air. She'd walked away, choosing composition over exposure. Now Evelyn thought she'd crumble. The critic had set this trap to expose a fraud. Emily opened her eyes, meeting Evelyn's gaze. She wouldn't fold. Her bow touched the strings. She'd play her truth, no matter what they thought. "We're waiting, Miss Carter," Evelyn said, glancing at her watch, "unless this is too much." A few students snickered. The symphony's first violinist shifted, as if considering stepping in. Emily ignored them. She wouldn't play a scale or some nursery rhyme to appease them. Her bow drew the first note, a rich, steady D, then another. The opening of Vivaldi's Winter from the Four Seasons filled the room, a piece demanding precision and fire. Evelyn's pen paused. The snickers stopped cold. Emily's notes cut through the air, sharp and deliberate. Winter was no beginner's tune. It required technical mastery and emotional depth. She saw Evelyn's posture stiffen, her plan unraveling. The critic had expected a fumble, not a piece that challenged even seasoned players. Emily's fingers moved with muscle memory honed by years of practice, untouched by time. The room faded. It was just her and the violin, reconnecting after a long silence. Every note carried her fear, her passion, her defiance. The first movement's icy arpeggios unfolded, each phrase crisp yet alive. Emily's body leaned into the music, her bow dancing across the strings. She wasn't just playing, she was pouring out years of bottled-up feeling. The students who'd mocked her now sat silent, their smirks gone. The first violinist leaned forward, eyes wide. Evelyn's notepad lay untouched, her face betraying a flicker of surprise. Emily didn't see them. She was lost in the music, letting it speak what she'd hidden for too long. As she hit the movement's peak, the notes surged with raw intensity. Winter demanded control, but Emily gave it soul. She'd stopped performing because of fear, because one failure had convinced her she wasn't enough. Now, she played to reclaim that lost piece of herself. The violin sang under her hands, its voice clear in the hall's perfect acoustics. She wasn't the timid composer they'd dismissed. She was a musician, and this was her answer to their doubt. The room held its breath. Emily's bow drove through the final phrases, each note a declaration. Vivaldi's storm built, then softened, her dynamics shifting with effortless grace. She wasn't just hitting the right notes, she was painting a scene, the music alive with fury and calm. Evelyn's earlier confidence had vanished. Her eyes betrayed a crack in her armor. The students sat frozen, caught off guard by the plain woman commanding the stage. Emily felt the music carry her, fear giving way to something stronger. She was no longer hiding. The final chord rang out, sharp and true, echoing in the silent hall. Emily lowered her bow, her breath steady. The room was still, no rustling, no whispers. She'd played one of the repertoire's toughest pieces, not to impress, but to prove something to herself. The fear that had once paralyzed her hadn't won. For the first time in years, she felt whole. The silence stretched, heavy with anticipation. Then a single clap broke through, and the room began to shift. Emily's winter lingered in the air, each note a testament to her mastery. Her fingers, steady now, had woven Vivaldi's storm with precision and heart. The silence broke as the symphony's first violinist stood, clapping fiercely. Others joined, the applause swelling into a roar. Students who'd scoffed earlier stared, jaws slack. Emily's chest heaved, adrenaline sparking through her. This wasn't the panic she'd known. It was alive, electric. In the third row, a professor whispered to a colleague, nodding toward Emily. Evelyn Sterling sat frozen, her pen still. The ovation grew louder, filling Crestwood's hall. Emily stood tall, violin in hand, feeling the weight of every eye. She'd turned Evelyn's trap into triumph. The critic's face was a mask, but her hands hadn't moved to her notepad. Emily's performance had undone her plan. A student in the back wiped her eyes, moved by the raw emotion. The first violinist, who'd played Winter himself, shook his head in awe. Emily's music wasn't just notes, it was a story of fear, faced and conquered. As Emily reached the piece's final phrases, she'd let every guarded feeling pour out. Her bow sang of struggle and renewal, the music shifting from chaos to clarity. Listeners felt it. Some leaned forward, others held their breath. A young violinist clutched her case, inspired. Evelyn's earlier smugness was gone, replaced by something rare: respect. Emily's playing wasn't just skilled, it was transformative. She'd taken Vivaldi's work and made it her own, a declaration of who she was beyond the quiet composer they'd underestimated. The applause didn't falter. Emily lowered her violin, her gaze steady. She'd faced the room's judgment and won. In the fifth row, a conductor mouthed "brilliant" to a colleague. Students who'd mocked her now clapped hardest, their earlier jests forgotten. Emily felt the old fear, her Curtis audition's shadow, melt into something new. Strength. She'd played for herself, not them. The hall's acoustics carried the ovation's echo, amplifying her moment. For the first time in years, she didn't want to hide from the spotlight. The clapping stretched on, a wave of sound. Emily glanced at Evelyn, expecting scorn, but found none. The critic's face held a flicker of unease. She'd misjudged her target. Emily offered a quiet nod, not smug, but grateful. Sometimes a push, even a cruel one, unlocks what's buried. A faculty member scribbled a note, likely about recruiting her. The room's energy had shifted. Emily wasn't an outsider anymore. She'd claimed her place. The applause slowed, leaving a hush thick with expectation. All eyes turned to Evelyn. Evelyn rose slowly, adjusting her suit jacket. The room waited for her verdict. "Miss Carter," she said, her voice clear but softer than before, "that was extraordinary." A gasp rippled through. Evelyn, known for shredding egos, had offered praise. "Where did you train?" she asked, curiosity genuine. "Manhattan School briefly," Emily said, "before I stopped playing." Evelyn's brow furrowed. "Stopped? That's a loss to music." She faced the students. "This is artistry, technique serving emotion. Ms. Carter showed you what's possible." The room stirred, absorbing her words. The first violinist approached Emily, hand extended. "Incredible. Are you with an ensemble?" Before she could answer, others crowded in, professors pitching teaching roles, students asking about her approach. Emily felt dizzy, no longer invisible. Through the throng, she caught Evelyn watching, her expression unreadable but not hostile. Their eyes met, and Evelyn gave a small nod, acknowledgement, not warmth. In 15 minutes, Emily had flipped the room's hierarchy. She wasn't just a composer now. She was a force, and they all knew it. As the crowd thinned for a break, Evelyn approached. Emily was tucking the violin back into its case. "You wield that instrument like it's part of you," Evelyn said, her tone professional. Emily snapped the case shut. It felt like waking up. "Why quit?" Evelyn pressed, direct as ever. Emily hesitated, then spoke plainly. "Stage fright. My Manhattan audition. I choked, couldn't play a note. After that, performing felt impossible." Evelyn's gaze softened, just a fraction. "So you chose composing?" Emily nodded. "It was safer." Evelyn tilted her head. "Your agent sent you, didn't they?" "Clara Benson." Emily blinked, caught off guard. Evelyn smirked faintly. "San Francisco's music scene is a small pond. Clara said she had a gifted composer who'd lost touch with performing. She didn't mention you'd be here." "Or you," Emily replied, a spark of humor breaking through. Evelyn's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Maybe Clara planned this showdown. A beat of understanding passed. "Your scores," Evelyn said, pointing to Emily's journal. "May I?" Emily handed it over, nerves tingling. Evelyn flipped through the journal, her sharp eyes scanning Emily's intricate arrangements. Her brows lifted slightly, page after page. "You've been holding back," she said, closing it. "These are remarkable." She pulled a card from her pocket. "The Bay Area Philharmonic needs a resident composer. It includes some performing." Her gaze held Emily's. "They need someone who gets both sides." Emily took the card, her fingers steady now. "I'll think about it," she said. Evelyn nodded. "Don't waste your gift, Miss Carter." 3 months later, Emily stood on the Davies Symphony Hall stage, violin ready. Behind her, the Bay Area Philharmonic waited for her signal. In the audience, Evelyn Sterling sat, program in hand. The piece, Awakening, was Emily's creation, born from the weeks after that masterclass. She raised her bow, remembering Evelyn's challenge, not to break her, but to reveal her. Fear still lingered, a quiet hum, but it fueled her now. She began, guiding the orchestra through her story of doubt, discovery, and courage. Awakening unfolded, its melodies weaving struggle and hope. Emily's violin led, each note clear and bold. The audience leaned in, faces reflecting her own past fears, hesitation, the dread of being seen. Her music reached them saying it's never too late to claim your voice. A woman in the 5th row dabbed her eyes. Emily felt the orchestra behind her, their sound amplifying her vision. She wasn't alone anymore. The stage, once her enemy, was now her home. She played on, fearless. As the final chord rang out, silence held for a moment. Then applause erupted, warm and fierce. Emily lowered her bow, her breath calm. Evelyn clapped slowly, a rare smile breaking through. The crowd rose, their ovation a testament to Emily's journey. She'd turned pain into beauty, fear into strength. Her music had spoken what words couldn't. In the balcony, a young violinist whispered to her friend, "I want to play like that." Emily's heart swelled. She'd found her truth, and it resonated. Backstage, Emily caught her breath, still buzzing. A stagehand passed her a note from Evelyn. "You've only begun. Keep shining." She tucked it away, smiling. Awakening wasn't just a piece, it was her rebirth. The fear that had silenced her at 22 hadn't won. She'd faced it, not alone, but with every note she'd played. The orchestra's conductor approached, praising her work. Emily nodded, already thinking of her next score. The stage was hers now, and she wasn't stepping back. Months later, Emily taught a workshop at Crestwood, her journal open to new ideas. Students crowded around, eager for her insight. She'd signed on with the Philharmonic, balancing composing and performing. Fear still whispered sometimes, but she knew how to answer it, with music. Her story spread, inspiring others to face their doubts. At night, she'd play alone, her violin singing softly. Each note was a reminder, hiding was over. She was seen, and her voice mattered. The world was listening now. Emily's journey showed what's possible when you step into the light. Have you ever buried a talent, scared of failing? Her story proves courage can rewrite your path. Sometimes the harshest push, Evelyn's challenge, unlocks your strength. If this moved you, join our storytelling community. Share where you're watching from below. Your gifts can't stay hidden forever. Even those who doubt you might spark your rise. Keep your heart bold and your spirit fearless. Until next time, let your truth shine bright. In the fog-draped streets of San Francisco, Emily Carter's journey at Crestwood Music Academy unfolds like a storm breaking open a dawn. Her story, a pulse-pounding clash of fear and triumph, offers two searing lessons that resonate deep in the bones. First, courage blooms when you face your demons head-on. At 29, Emily stood trembling before Evelyn Sterling's icy gaze, her violin a ghost from a past she'd buried 7 years ago. Her Curtis audition had left scars, notes frozen, judges' frowns branding her a failure. Yet, when Evelyn mocked her with "Mary Had a Little Lamb," Emily didn't crumble. She seized Vivaldi's Winter, her bow carving 90 seconds of raw defiance, silencing a room of 50 skeptics. Her hands, once paralyzed, danced across strings, proving that fear can't chain you forever if you dare to fight. Second, the sharpest critics can spark your greatest awakening. Evelyn's trap, meant to humiliate, became Emily's stage. That 15-minute masterclass, with its 60 pairs of judging eyes, wasn't her end. It was her rebirth. By Davies Symphony Hall, 3 months later, her composition Awakening filled a 2,700-seat theater, its notes soaring 100 feet to the rafters, touching souls who'd once doubted her. Evelyn's card, offered in a quiet moment, wasn't just a job, it was a mirror showing Emily's worth. Like a hiker summiting a 5,000-foot peak, Emily learned that those who push you to break might unknowingly hand you the tools to build. Her story shouts to every American dreamer. Your talents, buried under doubt, can shine brighter than a California sunrise. Step into the spotlight even when your heart races at 120 beats a minute, and let your truth roar. Has fear ever held you back from shining, like Emily Carter before her breathtaking winter performance? Share your story in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more tales of courage and triumph. Join our community to uncover 100+ inspiring stories that'll push you to conquer doubt and embrace your truth. Let's ignite your spark. Click now and stay fearless.